Phil Mickelson made history last weekend when he became the oldest player to win a major at 50 years old. These images iconic. Lefty won the PGA Championship at Kiawah Island over Brooks Koepka and Louis Oosthuizen to earn his sixth major title. And while some of the other top names he beat are taking the week off, Mickelson is game for the next tournament on the PGA Tour. But despite his win in South Carolina, don't expect to see Mickelson among the betting favorites at the Charles Schwab. In fact, Lefty way down on the board at 50-1, although it's still much better than his 200-1 odds entering golf's second major of the season. You see there, Jordan Spieth, according to William Hill, is your betting favorite at 11-1, actually down to 10-1. All right, let's welcome in Kyle Porter of The First Cut. So Kyle, naturally, and we'll talk about Will Zalatoris in a bit, but a natural letdown, I think, is expected for Mickelson. But if he is to play well this week, what does he have to do?
Well, it's the same thing he did last week at Kiawah, right? It's keeping it in the fairway. Colonial is a place that, it's very tight. It's very different looking than a place like Kiawah, but it's sort of like that Harbor Town look where it's shorter, it's tighter. It requires great iron play. You look at the guys that we've seen win here over the years. We've seen Adam Scott, who's a great iron player. Daniel Berger wins last year. He's a great iron player. Sergio Garcia, Phil has won here before. All really, really good iron players. So if Phil can actually keep it in the fairway like he did for most of the week at Kiawah, he has a decent chance to at least contend. I think that this is a little bit of a correction to, hey, he doesn't usually keep it in the fairway like that. So, and also just the emotional kind of letdown after a week like that. We talked about this on the First Cut podcast. That is the most emotionally draining week of his entire career because of his age, because of how much he struggled with focus, because of how the ocean course at Kiawah just wears you down and wears you down. I don't know how much Phil is going to have left in the tank, not just for this week at Colonial, but even looking forward to 3 weeks from now, or 4 weeks from now, I should say, at the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Shot
even par last year, but he missed the cut because 2 under was the cut line a year ago. So when we take a look at your top pick for this tournament, who do you like and why?
Well, I really like Will Zalatoris. You know, he's somebody, if you look at, again, I mentioned iron play earlier, but if you look at his numbers over the last, basically since April 1st, I'm showing you right here the 3 best iron players in the world since April 1st. Morikawa's been number 1. Zalatoris, you'll see here, is number 3, and Emiliano Grillo, my sleeper, is number 2. So these are guys that have been playing at a really, really high level in terms of iron play. And Zalatoris has been awesome. I mean, he missed the cut at an event right after the Masters, but he finishes top 10 at the Masters, top 10 at the PGA Championship. A little bit reminiscent of what we saw from Matthew Wolff a year ago, where he finished in the top 5 at both the PGA Championship and U.S. Open. So I'm really high on Zalatoris. I just think where he's at with his iron play, if he can keep it in the fairway like I mentioned with Phil, I think he's got a great shot to win his first PGA Tour event. And again, that's the only way he can earn his PGA Tour card. We've talked about this kind of all spring. He's not yet a PGA Tour member. He's the 27th ranked player in the world, but not yet a full-time PGA Tour member. And the only way he can do that for the rest of this season is by going out and potentially winning an event.
All right, going to Billy Z at 25-1. By the way, you also like Colin Morikawa at top 10. He lost to Daniel Berger last year. Morikawa, of course, with that short putt, wasn't able to convert. Crazy to think that it's been basically a year since the PGA Tour restart there, Kyle. But let's end with what everyone's talking about, if you've got to see it by now. Brooks versus Bryson, Koepka and DeChambeau. There's really at least 2 viral videos that have been put out there. The consensus, I think, Kyle, is that it's good for golf, but I'm curious to get your take.
Oh, it's fantastic for golf. You know, I mean, look at how many views that video got in 24 hours. I think it was close to 9 million or something like that, which is insane. And it's such a genteel sport, right? And it's got even more kind of clubby as the years have worn on. You know, the guys that are young in the sport today, they're all buddies, they're all friends, they're all pals. There's not those real, like, hey, I don't really like you type rivalries like there have been in sports in years gone by. And, you know, some of that's good. You're like, hey, these are like decent human beings. You think about Jordan Spieth and Rory and those guys. But some of it, you do want the, you know, the pettiness, the entertainment that we sometimes get in the NBA or Major League Baseball with guys throwing at each other. So you see Bryson here just pounding weights. The whole thing it's incredibly petty and also incredibly good for golf. And Tommy, I really hope they get paired together at the U.S. Open. I think that would be the perfect just sort of next step in what has been a very entertaining rivalry so far.
Bryson with I'm grabbing all the groceries with one hand dumbbell curl that he's trying to do there. Quickly, you talk about potentially paired up in a tournament where they're going at it, but what about Ryder Cup where they could potentially be teammates?
Well, that's going to be crazy. You know, the interesting part about this is it feels a little bit like Brooks is kind of punching down, right? He talks all the time about major championships, and this is all that matters. He's got 4 of them. Bryson's got 1. Bryson's not really in his stratosphere, but these two guys are going to be on the Ryder Cup team together. And, you know, Brooks and DJ, I don't know that they're best of friends either. You might need a marriage counselor to kind of come along with Steve Stricker to Whistling Straits at the Ryder Cup to just get everybody on the same page for 2 or 3 days as they try to beat Europe there.
Must-watch TV from 2 of the game's biggest stars. Kyle, certainly appreciate it. As always, check out the First Cut podcast where they're talking about the Charles Schwab Challenge. Best bets, picks, sleepers, and one-and-done advice. Rick Gaiman, Kyle Porter, Mark Immelman, and the coach. Download and follow today.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.